Hey, what's up, everybody? It's TJ here, and today we're going to talk short films. And these are my tips for beginners if you are starting a short film. So just to give you a little backstory, I am a beginner filmmaker. This is my second film that I'm working on right now. I am working on a short film called Transcend. My first short film was called Mism. You can check those out. Well, you can check one of them out up here. The other one's not done yet, so you can't check that one out yet. This is my second short film. I don't want to come off like I'm some type of pro or anything, but there are some things that I learned from these two films that I would like to share with you that could possibly help you out, possibly help you like not waste the time that I did on my short films. One of the biggest things I want to talk about in this episode is making sure you're organized, what programs to use, and making sure that you designate positions for people who are helping you out on this short film. And one of the things that I had to learn is that I can't do everything myself. It takes a team to make sure everything goes right. That comes down to writing, to screenwriting, to directing, to production, and day of shooting. If you're gonna have people involved, you wanna make sure you're as organized as possible. The least organized you are, the more things that can go wrong, the more things that end up getting put onto your plate the day of when you really wanna focus on maybe directing or shooting. What I found is that there's some softwares out there that can really help you out. For my first short film, I did all of my dialogue and all of my script writing on just on a Word document, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you want to jot down your ideas. But I found that it was pretty difficult to do that because once you start sending that out, once you start making revisions, once you start making changes and stuff, it begins to get a little bit messy. It wasn't actually the best or ideal way to do it. What I would suggest for most people is to use a program like Studio Binder. Studio Binder is free to get started, and you can actually make your script, write your script, and do multiple versions of that script in the free version of Studio Binder. So you don't have to necessarily pay to get what you want out of Studio Binder. There are a whole bunch of tools in there, and you can get fully integrated with your short film and make call sheets and do all types of stuff and help yourself organize, like knowing what props you need for certain scenes, all that stuff. Super important. But I will say I did not use Studio Binder for everything. I really just used it for the screenwriting process. So writing the script, and having it organized properly, spaced out correctly. Those things are important so people know when things are dialogue and when things are just, tips for, or information for the cameraman. That's important. Information for the scenes, all that stuff. That's important to have that organized properly. Another software that I was using was Milanote, and I got this from I believe it was Film Riot. They did a video on Milanote or Milanote. I don't even know how to say it. But they did a video on that, and that helped me out so much. Milanote is basically it's like a whiteboard that you can just jot down anything you want to, any notes that you have, and you can organize all that stuff pretty well on that website. And you can also get started on there for free. I think they have a storage limit, so you can make as many sheets as you can until you reach that storage limit. But what this really helped me out is to visually see where my film was going. So I'm a very visual person, so being able to see like what part comes next, and I put all my film beats up there. That's another thing I want to talk about is film beats. I put all my film beats up there and basically organized the whole film, jotted down all my ideas, put down ideas, got rid of ideas, went deeper into the story, and found out where some of the holes were in the story. That was a great resource because just looking at the script doesn't really help out all the time. You don't really get to see the overarching view of the film and what it may look like, or how it is organized. Yeah, films should have a organization to it, and that's where I'll go into the film beats. Film beats were something that I found on a website. I love using circle story, basically the full circle of how a story should go. A lot of films go in an order. They have a specific order as to how they should be told, or how a good story should be told. In a good way, especially as a beginner with anything. If you're in photography, if you're in film, if you're making movies, you should be looking at what the successful are doing in movies, finding out what is going on behind the scenes. How are they creating these amazing films? So watch your favorite films, but then just understand there's an organization to that film as to how it's laid out and how that film is told. So film beats, and I'll have that linked in the description box below. Film beats is just basically beats that your film should hit to make sure you're telling a good story, a full story. That process was done in Milanote, and you can just organize it all there. So super helpful tool. From there, I transferred all my information over to Studio Binder and started working straight in there. So it's super important to let everyone know what their job is on the day of, or even before the shoot. So if you are the producer, the writer, the director, make sure you have someone who is doing the other things, like someone who is doing production management, someone who is DPing, someone who is setting up lighting, someone who is your gaffer, somebody who is there for your first AC. For the first film I didn't really designate that stuff. I told people what they were, but I didn't tell them what that was. So a lot of people will be like, okay, you are the production manager, right? Yeah. So what does that mean? You're a production manager of what? But what is my job title? So letting them know, hey, this is your job title, and this is what I need you to do for the shoot was such a big help. And and actually just slowing down and simplifying the process. A lot of times we were shooting with one camera. On this most recent film, we were shooting with one camera, and instead of me running audio and being the cameraman and trying to do all these things, what we decided to do was just to split up that process. When we were shooting, I had my friend pulling focus, and I was doing composition. When I had an audio guy there, he was doing audio, I was doing composition, my friend was pulling focus. And that was super helpful to just clear your mind of what you need to do. So making sure that everyone knows what their job title is, what they're there to do, is super important. So make sure you have a crew list, and you tell them and talk to them beforehand what their job is and what you kind of expect from them for that day, and the day will go a lot smoother. And also just ask for help. Don't do everything yourself. If you don't have to write yourself, then don't write yourself. I had a friend of mine help me write this film, and I'm not a writer. Work inside of your strengths, do what you can, but when you need help, reach out for help, and make sure that you get people involved that can help you out. It's also important to make sure you have good energy around you when you're shooting a film. So don't start to do this. Production is a super stressful process, and it's probably the most stressful process of creating a film, other than sitting down and looking at a blank piece of paper. If you are in that process of filmmaking, you want to make sure that you have people who lift you up, people who have great energy and are great to be around, because it will get stressful. It will be a stressful day if you have people who are not like that, or people who are surrounded by you who are kind of just make things a little bit more stressful. So that is pretty much the process that I went through to get started in this short film. The next episode we talk about a little bit more, but you can see some of the behind the scenes and see some of the people who have been working with me on this film on the Instagram at Transcend Short Film. You can see some of the people who were working on the film and what their jobs were. I'll keep releasing those as time goes by and as we continue to work towards finishing the short film. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. I'll respond to you in the comments below. So I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.